We're here. You're live on Ventures. This is live to the world. Say hi.
Hi.
Little bit of an intro for the stream and me.
Okay, for me
For
and
you,
the company.
for you and
Okay,
the company.
so I'm CTO at Owkin. My background is software maths for research. Last 20 years with basically startups in life sciences and research informatics. So compute, software, information exchange, and organization for like biomedical research, basically.
Okay.
At Owkin, we're basically focused on how AI can unlock very complicated biology that is just too much for us as even clever scientists to deal with. And
you must be at the intersection of some of the most amazing discoveries and amazing tech.
Oh, it is amazing. Yeah.
Tell me more. Like I'm fascinated because it's a space that I don't get to talk about.
Yeah.
Often.
So today, if you're trying to make a product in the kind of agentic AI space, it's like, okay, have I got the data? Have I got the LLM? Have I got the software? Have I got the architecture to kind of connect and actually do work?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's just part of a company like what a company like Owkin has done. I mean, we also have clinical trial for early stage safety trial for a cancer drug.
Really?
So actually using applying it for our own business of developing assets, that will ultimately make a difference to patients.
And so, with life sciences today, what are you seeing that is actually pushing the boundaries of innovation? Has LLMs and AI been able to do that and moved it forward at a significant rate? Or is it more of the same, just a little bit faster?
No, I think there are some step changes. So, I mean, on some level, there's always been this kind of, well, last 15, 20 years, there's been this kind of information overload. There's so much science, which is amazing, but it's too much for anybody to kind of really deal with. So it's definitely on some entry level, developing the combination of what do we know already, what does the data tell us, and what are other researchers saying in their publications. Bringing all that together is really helped by LLMs. But that's just the beginning and the entry point. What we're seeing is then the application of that on the work that people in drug development do. So how do I make a case for a trial? What's the best design of a trial? How do I optimize the trial? So that's the kind of area that's starting to have impact. And while people like us are trying to solve that problem, you also have our customers thinking quite radically about how they might update their systems, their operations, and their way of working.
Is it quite an education curve?
Yes, no, definitely, yeah.
And so do you have to have almost like forward deployed or life science engineers come in and teach scientists how to use this technology?
Exactly, yeah. And how do you scale that is also a problem within the organization.
But it's do the things that are unscalable, right, to begin with.
Yeah, but sometimes you can take like a center of excellence approach. So you work with your client to establish that kind of hub of knowledge and kind of train the trainer kind of approach. But yeah, I mean, to get beyond the pilot, the POC, to kind of rationalize this proliferation of like half-baked agents, you need to kind of work at a very high level with and hands-on with your clients.
You're dealing with drug discovery. You're dealing with human beings as like an end user of a lot of this stuff, right? How important? Important is the wrong word. I'm trying to figure out like how long does it take to produce a drug today?
10 years.
And is actually AI going to speed that up?
The long pole in the tent, I think is the expression, is not a technology pole.
Like if you were building
what will accelerate is so we do that, for example, with what's called an external control arm. So we statistically valid synthetic patients for your trial, so you don't have to recruit so many people or make tough ethical choices about not giving a placebo to a patient. Which rather than the so yes, you can accelerate that recruitment, for example. You can accelerate finding the right patients, targeting your drug so it's more successful. So you rather than having kind of one shot at the goal, you have more shots at the goal and more targeted, data-driven decisions about how you set up your trial for success. Yeah.
Does the audience and just the average consumer of like anything life science related actually understand the power of what you're building?
So we do a lot of outreach. Actually, it's kind of an interesting question. You do need to do that outreach to help people understand. I'm sure people have varying levels of understanding.
Because I assume they sit here and go like, you just make drugs, so you make AI for drugs.
Yeah. but there's the human factor is a really nice entry point. We actually made a film, Je suis Elodie, so one of my colleagues,
Incredible.
who is herself is a scientist, works at Owkin, but also went through a cancer journey, or is going through a cancer journey as well. And so, like, how she saw it both from the inside and the outside. Of course. It's a very powerful story and very interesting. Also, just helping people. We did a great marketing team. We did an A to Z of healthcare AI. So,
nice.
So, like, okay, just come at it from whatever level.
Do you know all the A to Zs? I'm going to quiz you.
No, please don't.
What was A and what was Z?
Well, it won't be trouble. But yeah, so just need to make that education part of your work. And actually, I saw that previously in previous companies I worked in, where we asked students to kind of do a 5-minute video. This is before TikTok in a way, but like 5-minute video of telling their story, and it's amazing the ways people can explain this many.
What are you particularly excited about with what you're building?
So I'm a tech guy, software person, so I really like this. Been through a few kind of tech revolutions in my career, and it's just
so like, how is this different from the previous ones?
I'm not sure it's different, but it's one of those moments where the barrier to entry has kind of come down significantly, and the new architectures around. I like the deep action of agent, kind of a agent architecture done well. So like not just insight, but actually, I think they call it a system of work. And how that's going to change organizations and change delivery of drug development and lots of other things.
So it's almost insight plus execution.
So it's like, if you were developing software 5 years ago, or you were developing something quite rigid at the end of the day, like you might have the best user experience, but it's kind of your idea of what a user experience is there. The interesting thing I find about the Gen AI, LLMs, and all the kind of family of models there is it's the ability to deal with the human ambiguity and the different angles that people come from. So you can deal with a much bigger range of problems and kind of direct that into some action. Maybe send a protocol directly to the laboratory system that can be picked up and run an experiment, right? So you could do all of that from just a kind of a conversational approach, guided. And so there's going to be lots of new user interfaces around that, which is super interesting. But also it's changing the profession of software. A few years ago, you'd have had a testing team, right? And they would just kind of run through the protocol, test. Now you have a whole machine learning evaluation team who have to think about, how do I deal with that broad spectrum of possibilities in a so you quantify rather than qualify.
We don't want it probabilistic. We want it deterministic. We want to make sure those evals are in place.
Well, you're never going to get it to be deterministic, but you can kind of get a harness on the probabilistic through evals. Yeah. So investing in that is super interesting. So it's changing the way my teams work, the way software is built. It just kind of makes it much more alive, I guess.
Do you feel like it's going to supercharge what you do in the future for the next 10 years? Have you ever felt this excited to build again?
It's a while. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like it's just this refresh on what every builder feels. It's like I can make things. I can make a lot more things, and the barrier to entry has changed, So it's very exciting.
Where do you find the brick walls are at the moment, or the unsolved problems? It's like the models get better, the architecture gets better. As you continue to build, you get better.
Well, some things don't go away. So if you're going to deliver into an enterprise customer, you really need to work within their change management system, their IT. Just because it's possible, theoretically that their data would help the customer do their problem, doesn't mean that the teams within the organizations are going to have access to that data, or that the data is going to be unlocked for agentic AI use. So those kind of problems are still going to be there, and you have to work through them collaboratively as much as possible. And then there's also just, one of the things we do is make sure we have data acquisition and generation at the heart of what we do. So we work with partner hospitals in Europe and America, about 80 of them, bringing high quality patient data, enriching it with like the latest like spatial transcriptomics. It's a
what is that?
Yeah, so your whole genome is like an average of your genes, right?
Okay.
So and people thought that that'd be enough to kind of solve medicine,
right?
Of course, 10 years later, 20 years later,
we figured out that it was.
We figured out, okay, well, then they started doing, okay, let's do bulk expression of the genes. What did the genes actually do around the cancer?
Okay.
But again, that's an average. So then they did single cell. So like what was actually expressed in this individual cell? And that starts to get really interesting. But spatial is basically the single cell and all the cells around it, and how do they relate to each other? So if you take a biopsy in cancer, it's like a tissue, like what biology is actually going on, not just like an average of like what's going on in the tumor, but what's going on really in different microenvironments around the cell. So just the level of resolution is like it's like having an incredible lens into the biology that's going on there. And
a little bit of a quick fire for you then.
Okay.
What are you really bullish on right now?
What am I bullish on? But just betting on agents as a way of new way of making products, basically.
What are you pessimistic about?
What am I pessimistic about? That we're just kind of excited about this, and actually you just kind of gone up the Pareto curve a little bit, and now you're going to hit this kind of complicated phase, right? I think it was Andrej Karpathy just said, he's a really interesting guy to follow around software. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, and he just said like it's going to take us 10 years to work through the agent thing, and it's probably true.
How are you defining agents today?
So it's specialization. So it's like it's very hard not to personify them, right? So it's
like we feel like they're human.
Not so much that, but they're more like they're an expert in this or that, and they can. So not only can they talk to you about it, or kind of you can interact with them programmatically, but also they can do certain things in a focused way. So they if you have the right little community of agents, each of the agents can focus on one area and be very much more successful than just a general purpose kind of generative AI kind of engine, right? So it's
How important is the developer community? We're here at the AI engine. Yeah. We're here we're Google startups, right?
Yeah.
You are taking part in this hack as a partner.
Yeah.
How important is that for the work you do?
Oh, really important. I mean, it's great to talk to early stage developers and students. They're just tuning into like what's hot, what's interesting,
They think outside the box.
Yeah,
completely.
Exactly. And that's the other thing as well. So it's for them as well as for me. It's just being outside the box, talking to other people,
right?
Just connecting on what's possible.
And do you sit there in awe sometimes of just like the digital native person today, the digital native developer?
Up to a point.
Up to a point. So like the old guys still got some tricks up the sleeve.
Yeah, it's also just that they've had this great access, but the generational thing is kind of interesting as well. Like knowing what it was like before is also interesting, or knowing. Yeah, you can be too much of a digital native as well. Yeah.
Do you think so?
I think so. Yeah.
This has been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for the time. I'm looking forward to doing it again. Let me grab the mic from you.
Sure.
Cheers. Thanks for the time.
For the rest of the day.
Absolutely.
Cheers.